As more and more musicians travel around, the ability to be able to make music on the move becomes increasingly problematic when you require great quality sounds. And in parallel with this, the amount of space a good piano-based VSTI often takes up on any PC seems to be increasing almost to the point that some users are starting to suspect piano-driven VSTIs sell more if they have a large sample installation size. Bigger is always better seems to be the maxim there. So, if software appears that contradicts the size matters maxim, we become suspicious of its power and authenticity. Now, you might be asking why I'm talking about all this in this introduction. Well, it's because this all leads me on to a piano-based, but not restricted to piano by the way, to a piano-based virtual instrument called Pianoteq by Modartt. Instead of having an 80GB installation, like a lot of sample-based pianos, the installation size for Pianoteq is minuscule in comparison, digitally weighing in at around about 12 megabytes. Yes, I did say 12 megabytes. And therefore, as a result, having such a small installation size is perfect for the musician with a laptop who travels around frequently but still requires great quality sounds, and in particular from a piano. So what I'll do is I'll walk you around the interface first of all for Pianoteq. Now in my case, by the way, we're going to be talking about Pianoteq version 4, the latest version, but here we'll be talking about one of the versions, Pianoteq number 4 version stage. There are 3 different versions, and if you look at the pop-up now on your screen, you'll see the difference between the 3 different versions. Okay, now before I actually do anything else, I want you to hear how good Pianoteq is. I'm going to play you one of the demos that comes with it. Now, I've not done anything with this. I've not changed any of the sound in terms of the equalizer or adding any effects. This is as it comes. So I'll click on play so you can have a listen. Here we go. Okay, I'm sure you'll agree, a very realistic sounding piano. And remember, this is all done not by using samples, but by using digital modelling. Hence, that's why the installation size for Pianoteq is remarkably low. Okay then, let me just quickly walk you around where some of the things are. Across the top here, you're going to see these menu buttons. These won't hold any surprises for you, I'm sure. File, Edit, Window and Help. Simply click on one and there you'll see revealed pertinent options related to that particular menu button. Now just underneath you're going to see the play bar, which again contains buttons that you'll have seen a million times before, i.e. we've got a play button, a pause button, a record button, etc. Now just to the right, you might be forgiven for thinking this sort of grey area here is some sort of logo or a graphic design in some way. Well, in actual fact, despite it being very small, it's a positional indicator for the MIDI file that is being used to drive this particular demo. And if you want to move around it very easily, then simply click anywhere, left click, and that takes the playhead to that position of that particular MIDI file being used. So, for example, if I click here and now click on play, well, as you could see and hear, we could move around to a different position within that particular MIDI file. And then if we move along to the right once more, well, apart from the fact you're going to see a readout, a time display of where you are within that particular MIDI file, but just underneath you're going to see that number there, where it says 1 at the moment. If you click on it, then we reveal this Playback Speed option, whereby you can play this particular file back using any of these settings. We can reduce the speed, we can increase the speed, we're not restricted to just what we see here. As you'll notice at the bottom, we could type in another value. Okay, now I'm going to leave it as it is, just for this overview introduction. And then moving to the right once more, well, we'll see the name of this particular MIDI file for this demo that comes with Pianoteq. And of course, whatever you load up into Pianoteq, and we'll look at that as we progress, whatever you load up, the name of the file will show up here. Also, if you roll your mouse just below the name, you'll see a little click arrow. If you click on it, then you'll see we have 2 options, either to load up a recent MIDI file, or to load up recently played on the keyboard files. Once more, just for this tutorial, I'll leave it as it is. Now, in relation to what we've just seen about using a MIDI keyboard to play live into Pianoteq, if we want to keep strict time so we don't have a fluid tempo, then we can use this metronome button here. Once you select it, then you're going to hear these clicks to keep you in time with the tempo set. At the moment, our tempo is set at 60 BPM. Now, just reverting back to something I said a few moments ago, if you play live into Pianoteq with a connected MIDI keyboard, but you haven't recorded it to a click track, to this metronome ticking away, then, well, you can play it back and then click on here where it says tap, and if you keep clicking and tapping along in time to your performance, then as you can see just to the right, the tempo indicator updates to reflect the tempo you are playing at. Okay, so clicking it very quickly there meant we've gone up to a tempo of 195 BPM. Now I want to take that back to where we were, so I'll left click on my tempo indicator and then I'll run down and select the appropriate tempo from here. I'll choose 60, the original tempo. So that's a quick run through then for this introduction tutorial of what we see horizontally running across the top of our Pianoteq interface. Right, I'll leave it here then and I'll see you in the next tutorial.